to the Richins family or to the world, but I do have something to prove to you three. I do care what you boys think, and I need you boys to know the truth. And because of that, I will never quit or give up on this fight for justice, the truth, and coming home to you. So please, I know that right now you may not believe me, that you believe I took Dad from you, and that's okay. I still and will always love you, and I'm asking that you please just don't give up on me. I'm coming home, not today, not this year, but we're going to make this right. Our justice system will get this right, although this courtroom can't seem to. We have a long road ahead, but I will never quit fighting my way home to you boys. I love you more than these words could ever express. I loved you before I ever met you. And I will love you long after I'm not here to say it.
You just heard Kouri Richins vow to keep fighting to come home to her kids. But what are her real chances? Is she doomed? On June 17, the man whose testimony trapped her was suddenly in handcuffs of his own.
So do you recall a meeting with prosecutors in this case in April of 2025 to discuss your testimony?
I do.
And that was before you met with myself and Mr. Bertram in September of 2025.
Yeah. Yes.
And at that meeting, did you tell them then that you never did sell fentanyl to Carmen Lauber?
I told them that I'm pretty sure that I sold her Roxy's and not fentanyl.
Robert Crozier, the witness who sold the pills at the center of her trial, was arrested in a sting after trying to meet who he believed was a 15-year-old girl. It looks like a miracle gift for her appeal, but her legal team is in tatters. A multi-million-dollar restitution hearing locks in July 31st, and Kouri is out of moves. On June 6th, an investigator with Box Elder County's Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force was running an undercover operation online, posing as a 15-year-old. The man who reached out to her was 47-year-old Robert Wilson Crozier of Midvale, Utah. According to charging documents, when the investigator revealed her age, Crozier responded that he was way too old to know better. What followed, court records say, was a conversation that crossed lines no adult should ever cross with anyone younger, and it didn't stay just words. The two arranged to meet in person, and Crozier allegedly offered to bring along substances he had no business offering anyone that age. He took public transportation across county lines to get there. When he arrived, officers were waiting. A search of his bag turned up drug paraphernalia. So it's worth being clear here that this was a sting. There was never an actual 15-year-old on the other end, just a trained investigator posing online. However, that doesn't change the charges, though. You only get caught in an operation like this by being willing to do exactly what he's accused of. Robert is now facing several serious felony charges tied to that meeting, along with a charge for the paraphernalia. He's being held without bail in the Box Elder County Jail. Court records show he was already on probation for a separate matter when this happened, and according to the filings, he has a long criminal history in Utah, mostly involving drugs. Another thing worth remembering, too, is an arrest is probable cause, not proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Crozier, like anyone, keeps the presumption of innocence here unless a court says otherwise. But do you know why his name matters so much to Kouri Richins? Robert Crozier is the man prosecutors say sold the fentanyl that ended up killing her husband, Eric. He testified against her this past February.
I'm pretty sure that I sold her Roxy's and not fentanyl.
Describing how he handed pills to her housekeeper, Carmen Lauber, at a gas station in Draper, twice before Eric's death and once shortly after. But here's the thing people forget. His story had already changed once before he ever sat down in that witness chair.
So do you recall a meeting with prosecutors in this case in April of 2025 to discuss your testimony.
I do.
And that was before you met with myself and Mr. Bertram in September of 2025.
Yeah. Yes.
And at that meeting, did you tell them then that you never did sell fentanyl to Carmen Lauber?
I told them that I'm pretty sure that I sold her Roxy's and not fentanyl.
Okay. So you told them, excuse me. You told them basically the same thing that you said in September of 2025 and what you're saying today.
Yes.
In your testimony. And did you sign a sworn affidavit that that in fact happened?
Back in 2023,
right.
in a recorded interview with investigators, Crozier flatly said that he'd sold Lauber fentanyl. By the time he testified at trial, he claimed he didn't even remember giving that interview, not even when they handed him the transcript, and he told the jury under oath that what he'd actually sold her was oxycodone. Prosecutors had to play his own old interview back to the jury just to catch him in it. And Lauber wasn't airtight either. On cross-examination, the defense caught her changing her own count of how many times she'd bought drugs for Richins between what she told investigators back in 2023 and what she said on the stand. So even before any of this, Crozier wasn't exactly a witness you'd want carrying your case. The defense knew it. The jury heard it. And now the same man is sitting in a county jail on charges that make shaky credibility sound generous. For a defense team building an appeal, you can understand the instinct. That looks like a gift. Meanwhile, I just wanted to take a minute and actually respond to some of you, because the comments on the last couple videos were genuinely good, and you all deserve more than a like and a scroll past. Miguel, you left 2 comments on the Proctor video, and I saw both. You are on the side of O'Keefe and think she is not lying, and then later, going off on Proctor, you called him out for covering for what you called the real culprits, and naming Alberts, Higgins, and McCabe right alongside him. I hear you. That deposition raised a lot of questions about who else was involved in how that investigation got handled, and I think you're not alone in wanting those names looked at harder, not just Proctor's. Switching over to the Mackenzie Sharilla video, because that one brought a lot of you out too. To Rasmani A6141, you left a comment about the family saying the autopsy provided no real evidence and that she shouldn't be spending her life in prison over it. That's actually one of the more contested parts of that case, and it's worth its own breakdown at some point. Slonak, your comment about the irony of new appellate counsel arguing original trial counsel was ineffective, that's sharp, and you're right, it's one of those moments where the legal system kind of folds in on itself a little. And Daryl, that line about somebody trying without trying, I see you, and yeah, that's exactly how that defense has come across to a lot of people watching this one. Les Rhodes, Kyrek, Coco Bruce, thank you too. Glad the video was worth it to you and many others. All right, back to Kouri. Here's the problem with that instinct, though. If the man who supplied the fentanyl is now shown to be someone capable of exactly this, doesn't that put a hole somewhere in the case against Kouri? It would if her conviction had actually been built on his word alone. It wasn't, not even close. Prosecutors didn't need Crozier to confirm exactly which drug he was selling in order to convict her. They had a forensic accountant, Brooke Carrington, walk the jury through Richins's finances for the better part of a full day. Carrington testified that Richins's net worth sat at negative $1.6 million the day after.
Okay, and how much money, I guess, in trust deeds, or what was the amount of the trust deeds in 2019?
Those 2 trust deeds total $471,210.48.
And you've done that for each year, 2020 and 2021 as well, right?
That's correct.
And what was the amount in 2020 of trust deeds?
2020 was $2,069,280.
On how many properties?
On 5.
Okay, and 2021, what was the amount of trust deeds and that the defendant acquired?
The amount there is $6,260,458
On how many properties?
on 13.
Do you find this significant?
Yes.
By that point, Richins owed somewhere around $7.5 million across her house flipping business, with roughly $80,000 going out the door every single month just to keep her lenders quiet. Her bank accounts were, in Carrington's own words, perpetually in the hole. Dozens of overdrafts in a single month, checks written to herself that bounced, tax filings that conveniently left out the majority of her loans, which made her business look far healthier on paper than it actually was. On top of the money trail, prosecutors had cell phone data placing Richins' housekeeper near the same locations as Crozier on the days they say the drug deals happened, with Richins texting Lauber the whole time. They had hundreds of text messages and a stretch of internet history wiped from Richins' own devices in the months around Eric's death, while the report on Eric's phone showed no deletions at all. None of that, not one piece of it, depends on whether Crozier sold oxycodone or fentanyl back in February of 2022. So yes, Crozier's arrest is real, and it's seriously damaging to him. But an appeal doesn't run on "this witness turned out to be a bad person." It has to point to an actual legal or procedural mistake in how the trial itself was run. Her notice of appeal was filed in late May, and it's already been handed over to the Utah Court of Appeals, where a panel of 7 judges will look specifically at whether her constitutional rights were respected and whether the trial court did its job correctly. That's a much narrower question than people assume. It isn't a chance to re-argue the facts or re-litigate who said what about which pills. It's a review of process. A witness getting arrested months later on something completely unrelated to the trial doesn't typically clear that bar by itself. If this were the only thing happening to Kouri Richins right now, it might still feel like a win worth holding on to. It isn't the only thing happening. 3 weeks before Crozier's arrest made headlines, the attorneys who carried Kouri Richins through her entire trial, Kathy Nestor, Wendy Lewis, and Alexander Ramos, filed something that got almost no attention by comparison: a motion to withdraw. Not from her murder case, from her other case, the 26-count financial crimes prosecution covering mortgage fraud, forgery, bad checks, money laundering, and a pattern of unlawful activity, all tied to her house-flipping business in the years before Eric died. According to Summit County, the contract that pays Nestor, Lewis, and Ramos has only ever covered the aggravated murder case. It was never written to cover this second prosecution. So, as that financial case kept moving forward on its own track, her own trial team had no legal authority and no funding to keep representing her in it. This isn't even the first time her representation has shifted under her. Her original attorney withdrew back in 2024, citing what was described as an irreconcilable and non-waivable situation, which is the moment Nestor and Lewis stepped in to begin with. Now, after carrying her through an entire murder trial, they're stepping back again from a different case for an entirely different reason. And here's the part most people watching this story haven't clocked yet. It isn't only that she needs a new attorney for the financial case. Her current trial team isn't even qualified, under Utah law, to handle her murder appeal in the first place. Appeals at this level require attorneys pulled from a specific approved roster of appellant counsel, and none of the 3 are on it. So Summit County now has to find someone from that list willing to take on a case this large and this public. And as of the most recent filings, nobody has been named. The county even hoped the state would help cover the cost through a fund set aside for aggravated murder appeals. That request was turned down too. Kouri Richins is in a state prison cell serving life with no chance of parole. The man whose word she once needed discredited is now thoroughly discredited, and it changes nothing about her case. The lawyers who knew this file better than anyone alive are gone from one of her 2 open cases, and they may not even be allowed to carry her appeal forward into its next stage. She is, in the most literal sense, sitting and waiting for the state to figure out who's going to fight for her next, while every deadline on her case keeps moving regardless. And on top of everything else, July 31st is coming fast. That's the date Judge Richard Mrazek set back at her sentencing for an in-person restitution hearing, where the court will decide exactly how much money Kouri Richins owes and to whom. This isn't one tidy number. Prosecutors are asking for more than $1.3 million in restitution owed to 2 insurance companies they say she defrauded. Separately, Summit County wants $1.4 million back to cover the cost of her public legal defense, since the county footed that bill for years while she had no way to pay for her own. On top of that, the county is also going after another $1.4 million, tied to the life insurance payout Richins collected in the months after Eric's death. Add it up, and you're looking at a financial reckoning well into the millions against a woman whose own forensic accounting, presented at her own trial, already showed she was millions of dollars underwater before any of this started. Whatever the judge decides on the 31st, actually collecting it is its own separate fight. What an inmate can earn inside Utah's prison system is minimal, and the state can only take from what's actually coming into her account. None of that changes what gets decided in court. It just shapes how or whether the state ever sees a meaningful piece of that money back. This is all for you guys today. Honestly, between everything happening on this case at once, it's a lot to keep up with, but I'll be back here the moment there's something real to report. Let me know what you think down in the comments, especially on what you make of that lawyer situation, because I think that part deserves a lot more attention than it's getting. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like and share this video. If you will, also please subscribe. Your support means the world to me.